It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Hey, that's right. It is Wednesday. We are live from the Alico building, downtown Waco, Texas, 21st floor. Mike Hamilton.
Hello, Pete.
Who said, oh, as we started the show, or didn't start the show.
Well, we weren't live.
Okay.
We were recording, but we weren't live.
Okay.
And the people expect a certain amount of live, Pete.
No, they do. They do expect a certain amount of live. That's Mike. He's on the wheels of steel today. We got Cam Stewart coming up in the last segment. Quick chat with my mom in the second segment. She lets us know about her thoughts about my performance on this show and others. And also we get her to dish on Nick Sirianni a little bit. And let's just say she's not a huge fan. Mike, what are you signing? Cam? Yeah. He's the third segment, yeah. Are you writing it down?
I'm writing it down.
It's 3 segments.
I'm writing it down, Pete, because in this segment we've got Pete. I'll put that down.
Well, that is Mike Hamilton. Boy, we're hoping that Zach gets back here as fast as possible. But one of the things I wanted to talk about today, there's so much to love about this time of year. Last night I was doing work on the Inside the 12 show that we taped today that you can find on the Big 12's YouTube channel. And also, if you live in a Big 12 market, it is now coming at you over the air on television or streaming or however you get your stuff. Cam's pumped about that. And also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that I was watching playoff baseball while I was doing this work last night. And it was chilly outside. And I was like, man, this is like the time of, this is easily my favorite time of year. Halloween is coming up, right? And literally hold on, Mike, we'll get to it in a second. There's like a nice little wind outside. It's kind of chilly here, at least it was this morning. I was actually walking up to the Alico building today, getting ready for the show. And by the way, this is like, there was a woman who was walking out to her car. It was clear, at least I made the decision that this was her break from whatever job she has. She was walking out to her car with already had a blanket over her. Like it was nap time, you know? And it's, first of all, if you've ever had any kind of job that you would consider like a tough, like BS job, like you 100% understand that woman and where she's going and what's going on. I remember when I worked in fast food, I had a 15-minute break and I was working at KFC. I would go to a corner store that had the New York Post, and I would try to find like a column to read in the New York Post, like something interesting in sports, like Mike Vaccaro or whatever. And then Dr. Phil was always on the TV. So I would watch 15 minutes of Dr. Phil and read the New York Post. This is when I was in, a halfway house getting sober. And goddamn, it was a great little, Dr. Phil, the New York Post. Yeah. And it was like a really, really enjoyable stuff.
What was it about Dr. Phil you like so much?
That he wasn't at fucking Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. By the way, Cam is now eating a sandwich. Like, there's nothing like watching Cam's little grubby fingers get into food, right? Like he peels his sandwich out of the bag, right? Now he's going into his sandwich.
How's she supposed to get it out? Just dump it. Just open the bag and dump it in your lap.
You do have grubby little fingers. All right, back to the time of year. This is my favorite time of year, and there's no question about it. And just to give a window into my psyche and why I love autumn so much and why I love this time of weather. Growing up outside of Philadelphia, you get the seasons changing, and in Texas, the seasons change, but fall is certainly abbreviated. Just the other day, this was last week, I was jogging, and I put this on. Mike Hamilton, cue it up. This is this time of year, and I'm telling you, get ready for goosebumps. Take it away, Mike.
Which one is it?
The autumn wind.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Oh, I'm telling you, nothing gets me riled up like that. As a little kid, people ask me, okay, why do you love sports so much? That voice, John Facenda, NFL films, the way that that's done, right? The motion pictures, the movies that came through my television screen as a kid, taking these football players and turning them into characters like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Michael Myers or whoever. Very, very cool stuff. So I wanted to share that with you guys as we get set to start off this week of football. Mike, you always look at me. Are you going to say something?
No, I'm just watching you, Pete. I just look up to you.
All right. So, by the way, I mentioned the Big 12 in college football and the show that we taped this morning. And there's a couple things about the Big 12 that I wanted to look at right now and get into when we talk about this week of college football. BYU and Oklahoma State, they lock horns, and I'll get to the lock horns thing in a second. On Friday night, 9:15 Central Time. This is in Provo. BYU is ranked 13th in the country. They are a 9-point favorite. Now, the reason I wanted to start with this game is I want to talk a little bit about Mike Gundy. I've been looking for the Oklahoma State injury report. I haven't seen it yet, but Mike Gundy actually should be on it. This is what was reported just a couple days ago, and I keep looking for updates. I haven't seen them yet, but let me give you the Associated Press report. Oklahoma State football coach Mike Gundy is showing the gnarly signs of a shocking cattle attack on his ranch over the weekend. Gundy, 57, revealed he was on the receiving end of an assault by cattle during his media availability via Zoom on Monday, in which Gundy had his camera turned off. Here's the quote. "Well, I had a little run-in with my cattle over the weekend. I guess they've been watching us play, and I got headbutted. So I've got a bad eye that I didn't think would be particularly enjoyable for people when they were looking at my face during the interview." Here's where it gets interesting. "More importantly, it's full of blood and I get dizzy. So it's not easy to be upright right now and be in normal function. But other than that, I'm doing great." Okay. So Oklahoma State, already an underdog against BYU. That can't be good for business. By the way, going into this game, if you want to talk about advantages, Oklahoma State is thinking about playing three different quarterbacks. It's Alan Bowman could play, Rangel could play, and then Zane Flores, their third stringer, could play. This is a game where if you're looking to, I don't know, maybe pick a team, I think BYU will win this one going away. And here's an interesting point. We talked a little bit this morning to Hans Olsen, who is a linebacker at BYU and was also a player in the NFL, nephew of Merlin Olsen. He told us that there is a snowstorm that is coming and is hitting the mountains of Utah, Provo specifically, that could drop a foot of snow onto the ground. So keep that in mind. You want to say something?
Well, you just flew right by Merlin Olsen.
Yeah.
What do you say, grandson, nephew?
Yeah, he's Merlin Olsen's nephew. So
Wow.
who do you know Merlin Olsen as?
Merlin Olsen was like the outdoors guy when I was growing up. Like
He was so many
70s
different
and stuff.
things.
Yeah, he was always outdoors fighting a bear or something.
So he was a member of the Fearsome Foursome.
Yeah.
Playing for the Los Angeles Rams. He played at BYU. He
See, I didn't know he played at BYU.
Yeah, he was the FTD Flower guy.
I
And
do remember that.
and he was Dick Enberg's partner for college for NFL football. And I think he did a Super Bowl or two.
So, and when did he play for the? When did he play for?
I mean, dude, we're
Rams?
talking like early 70s.
Yeah.
He played with Deacon Jones and Roosevelt
Right.
career,
And
and I forget.
he became a personality, right? And that was a time, like we've talked about this time before,
Yeah.
when Carson was around and
Yes.
all the old school Jonathan Winters and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, right? And so Merlin Olsen doing the flower thing, he became a celebrity because of that.
Yep, and he shows
Not
you
so much
exactly
his
right.
playing career; it was mostly like the FTD thing.
100%. And he
Yeah.
ends up showing up
And
on
he fought a bear.
Carson, doing regular guests and stuff like that. I don't remember him fighting a bear. He may
I
have
don't
been an
remember that
actor.
either, but yeah.
All right, so Merlin Olsen's son, Hans Olsen, or his nephew, talked about a terrible snowstorm that's coming to Provo. So if you think about that, the deck is certainly stacked against Oklahoma State. They don't have a coach. Their quarterback's up in the air. Their running back, there's so many questions around that. And we'll see what happens. But right now, BYU looks pretty good in that one. Another game we can talk about quickly is Baylor and Texas Tech. That is a 3:00 start. Why are we talking about Baylor? Well, because we're in Waco and because we are sponsored by Slovakics, which is also in West, which is close to Waco. And Baylor football right now is in dire straits. They take on Texas Tech. They are a 6.5-point underdog. Here is the one thing, if you're a Baylor fan, that you can cling to, that we are 6 games into this season, and we will eventually, all across the nation, continue to see more chaos. Like Alabama, Vanderbilt, right? Vanderbilt with that huge upset. Like, it doesn't end there. Like, there will be more games this season where we look at the results or we're watching it unfold before our eyes and we're thinking, I can't believe this is going to happen. Baylor could be dishing some of that out at some point this year. I'm not going to say it's going to be tomorrow. Odds are it likely won't be against a very good team as you look down the stretch of their schedule, but they could pull off an upset, and so could many other teams. And the reason I bring the upsets and the chaos is when you look at last night, ESPN did their first revealing of a college football playoff ranking system where they looked at teams which would right now be making the 12-team playoff. Now, this was based on the Associated Press poll, and the Associated Press poll obviously has BYU 13, and with the 4 conference winners, so you get obviously you have your 4 conference winners, which means that one Big 12 team was put into that, right? So I guess they went into fantasy land and decided which Big 12 team would win the conference championship game, that being Iowa State. But BYU, as far as this ranking system was concerned, and the pundits at ESPN putting together their first bracket, BYU was the second team out. Penn State was the first team out, and BYU was the second team out. That's kind of rough to think that BYU and Iowa State, and even all the way down to Kansas State, are, I don't want to use like they're getting disrespected, but I do think there is East Coast bias. I do think that there are people who vote in the Associated Press or vote for the Associated Press top 25 teams, whether they're writers, whether they're media people, where they're just not watching the Big 12. If you live on the East Coast, you're not staying up late to watch Arizona. You're just not. Or Arizona State and one of the best running backs in college football. Cam Skattebo is ranked 5th in the country with 773 yards running the football on the season. Now, that is a guy who I'm so interested to see how he can transition into the NFL. I know this about watching him play. Last game, late in the game, in the 4th quarter, he actually hit 21 miles per hour running the football. Now, the reason that that's a big deal is because we're talking about the 4th quarter, right? And he's had very, as far as substitutions, he's had limited breathers as a running back for the Sun Devils. Arizona State, though, could be a possible trap game. They go to play Cincinnati. That game is going to be at 11 a.m. local time, 9 a.m. West Coast time. So think about it. If you're Arizona State, this is by far the earliest game you have played all season long. Cincinnati, 4-2. That's a team, if there's one squad that is on the outside looking in right now at the Big 12 championship race, right, to get into the championship, the Bearcats are the one team who you have to keep an eye on. Kiner, great running back. He has injured his ribs, but he's been playing again. He's playing with a lot of padding on his ribs, but he'll be back in the game for Cincinnati. And Brendan Sorsby, their quarterback, has been exceptional. They had an ugly win against UCF, but when you talk about chaos, I think there's an argument to be made for a team like Cincinnati making a run. So mark that down. I said it here first, just like I said the Jets were going to win outright on Monday, which they did not do. Mike, you looked over here.
Yeah, Pete, again, just admiring you.
Mike and I will be the worst fast break operation in the NBA. Because you would look at me, I would throw the lob, and then the lob would sail over your head and go out of bounds.
Yeah, you would be Harrison Barnes to Wimby. Yeah.
One more game let's talk about before we wrap this up. Hold on, let me get back over here.
By the way, while you're looking for that, can I just say something real quick?
Sure, man.
Merlin Olsen.
Yeah. Please.
Little House on the Prairie.
Yes.
The entire time. See, I didn't remember that.
Well done, Mike.
Little House on the Prairie. Walking Tall. He was in the original Walking Tall movie.
Do you know who else was in Walking Tall?
The big dude.
Not Gatesville. Joe Don Baker.
Yeah.
Joe Don Baker. Yeah. Click on him.
Well, I'm not going to, but yeah, I get you. Yeah.
He's from Gatesville.
But he was also on Chips. He was in Fire in the Sky. I don't know if you remember that movie, but it was like one of the first 70s UFO movies.
No.
And then he was on Kung Fu and Petticoat Junction. So I'm just giving Merlin Olsen his I think the kids say flowers, but yeah, that is that astounded me.
That's actually a really nice contribution to the show, Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
Wait, Joe Don Baker.
Yeah.
Wait, what are you
saying? Where's he from?
I don't even see him on here.
Wasn't he in Walking Tall?
Oh, this was Walking Tall, the series. Never mind.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
all good. Never mind.
So Walking Tall, the movie. Walking Tall was a 1973 film. Joe Don Baker starred in it. Now, if you can't remember, if that name doesn't ring a bell, just think of the police chief in Fletch. That is Joe Don Baker. Remember that? Remember that guy?
6'5", 6'9" with the afro.
Yeah. Yeah. So Joe Don Baker is from, let's see here, drum roll. I know this because of KWTX. They tried to get me to do a story on him, and I just kind of stalled long enough.
You to do a story on Joe Don Baker?
Yeah, because he's from Groesbeck. He's from Groesbeck, Texas, and they were like, "Hey, you need to do a story on Joe Don Baker."
Didn't you run for office at one point?
No, you're thinking of the other guy.
Okay.
From Tennessee.
Okay.
Cam.
Who was drafted number 1 overall in the NFL draft is from Groesbeck.
Who?
Kenneth Sims, the University of Texas.
There you go.
Drafted by the New England Patriots.
What year?
Would have been 81, probably.
Okay, that's my lifetime. All right. Nice job, Cam.
Groesbeck goes.
Cam Stewart, you can catch him coming up here in the last segment of this show. One other thing I wanted to get to, Mike?
Just going to say you have about 2 minutes, Pete.
Okay. 2 minutes left.
2 minutes until we take a break, yeah.
2 minutes left until this segment ends and we take a break.
Yeah, it's even less than that now.
All right. I mentioned the Raiders at the top, and this is just a philosophical conversation. When you look around the NFL right now, okay, let me pull up the standings here so I can get this right. There are a lot of teams who are not very good in the NFL, and I don't just mean because their records aren't good. I mean just a lot of teams leave a little to be desired.
Titans.
The Titans are one of those teams.
Awful.
You look at the Browns; they have a good coach though, because that's where I'm going with this. Stefanski's a good coach. The Titans are 1-4. The Jags are 1-5. Doug Peterson, by all accounts, is toast after this season. The Texans are doing great. You got to give them props. Patriots are 1-5, but Mayo's not going to go anywhere. Raiders are 2-4. Antonio Pierce needs to get it together. But you look around the league and you can see, at the head coaching position, you go to Dallas, right? Mike McCarthy. You go over to Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni. We've certainly had conversations about him. And last week or 2 weeks ago, I was watching the Dan Patrick Show, and all of a sudden popped up, out of hibernation, was John Gruden. And John Gruden was there talking about he has got a show on YouTube, which apparently is excellent. There's clips circulating on social media. John Gruden obviously got himself in a bunch of trouble a couple years ago. He continues to kind of fight that. He's got a lawsuit against the NFL, which is still being litigated. Dan Patrick, when he had Gruden on, asked him the question, said, "Hey, where are you at with this lawsuit against the NFL. And Gruden did a great job. He wasn't like Jerry Jones yesterday, freaking out on the radio host that asked him tough questions. He basically was like, Dan, I'm here to talk about my YouTube show. And then would smirk at Dan Patrick, and Dan would ask him another hard-hitting question. But you got to give Gruden props. He's a guy who gets it. But I'm going to show you a clip, okay? And I want you to watch this. We're going to play this in a break. This is a very good reason why, if you believe in second chances, John Gruden should be coaching in the NFL.
Well, how about bring it up, grab a knee. Let's go.
Hey, listen, we got to come out early in the morning and get our work done. 95% of our practices and pads are going to be in the what? Morning. I do not want to have a horse shit practice in the morning. In the old days, we'd practice in the afternoon 2 more times in pads. Nowadays, I get incarcerated for that. You with me? We come out here, we are ready to roll in the morning. We're going to take the training wheels off pretty soon, okay? We can only have so many walkthroughs, so many assignment periods. If you don't know what to do, you won't play here. Are we clear on that? Okay? Last point I want to make. Everybody right now has dreams, don't they, guys? All right, everybody in the NFL, I have a dream of making it in the NFL. I got a dream of winning a Super Bowl. I got a dream of being in a Pro Bowl. I'm really not into dreams anymore, okay? I'm into fucking nightmares. You guys with me on that? You got to end somebody's dream. You got to take their job. You got to take their heart. Are you guys clear about this NFL shit now? We're not trying to go to the Peach Bowl. We're not trying to go to the Gator Bowl or the Bluebonnet Bowl. We're trying to go to the Super Bowl.
All right, Mike, I guess you were supposed to go to break with that.
Oh, was I?
Yeah, well, that's all right. We'll go to break now. We'll be right back. My mom is coming up on the other side. She doesn't approve of that language, Coach Gruden, but otherwise, we need you back.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. We are sponsored by Daniel Stark Injury Lawyers. We did some work with them yet. Cam is now, dude, what are you, 4? Okay.
He's having some snacks.
Hold on. Cam Stewart is off camera. We're not going to bring him on camera because he's eating and it's gross. And now his little grubby hands are going into a Ziploc bag with goldfish.
Yeah.
They're whales.
They're whales. Cam Stewart now, watch him dip in. Using his left hand, he's got that forefinger and the index finger. Wow, goes right into his mouth, just smothering the goldfish. So, Cam, what was for lunch?
A lot like that.
What was for lunch? Cam, stop. What was for lunch? He's
Peanut
getting
butter sandwich.
peanut butter with nothing else.
What do you mean? And bread. I don't know.
Peanut butter and bread?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing else.
That qualifies as a peanut butter sandwich.
Dude. This kid's like a toddler. Seriously.
You never had a peanut butter sandwich, you fucking whore?
I mean, they were, I guess, desperate, but I certainly never placed a peanut butter sandwich in a Ziploc bag and thought, can't wait till later.
At
No.
least he didn't
That's
put it in
such
his.
a regular thing.
He didn't put it in his hat or his sock.
Peanut butter honey, peanut butter jelly. You know what I'm saying?
can't see-
peanut butter and honey.
I can see.
Oh.
Where, I can see where the peanut butter needs a little lubrication.
All right, Mike, let's get back to, we're going to do birthdays. Then we're going to hear
Yeah,
from
let's
my
do
mom.
some birthdays.
Yeah, I want to hear this. We were not going to do this, but Mike brought it up, and now all of a sudden I'm like, all right, let's check in
I'm
with
filling
Mike.
time.
Yeah.
Flea.
Okay.
Flea is 62 years old today.
Flea, by the way,
Yeah.
huge
Gap in his
basketball
teeth.
fan.
Oh,
His name's not Flea. Can you believe it?
Huge basketball fan.
his name's Tick.
I'll tell you, when I worked for the Hornets, he wanted Adam Morrison. There was a show in Charlotte. He loved Adam Morrison, the guy with the mustache who went to Gonzaga. Adam was on the Bobcats. He was sort of a recluse. He liked to play video games and keep to himself. He really didn't even work that hard. People thought he was going to, but he didn't. And Flea wanted Adam Morrison there was a concert at Time Warner Center, and he wanted Flea wanted Adam Morrison to come, and Sean May and Raymond Felton went, and Adam Morrison wouldn't go. And Flea was like, the next day he wrote about it in his blog, and he was like, I was really surprised that Adam Morrison didn't come. I wanted him to come. Flea was low-key hurt that Adam Morrison didn't go to the show.
Second on this list, but number one in your hearts, Angela Lansbury.
Oh, she's still alive?
No, she did.
Okay, Murder, She
One of
Wrote,
which he was
dude.
right.
Coming up next on Murder, She Wrote.
Tim Robbins.
Oh,
He
I
is alive.
never a huge
He is
fan.
alive and 66 years old.
His best work was Clue.
I don't know about that. I like the Prod Sucker, Huxy, Hux, Proxer, Suxy, whatever that is.
Tim Robbins. Hold on, dude. Hold on.
Oh, it's Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, my
there we
bad.
go.
Bull Durham.
There it
I
is.
got
Bull
him mixed
Durham
up.
too.
Bull
Yeah.
Durham for sure.
The
That's
guy's
easy.
had some. He's had some good.
I got
stuff.
him mixed up with the English actor from Clue.
And then
Michael Caine.
No,
the last Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. Yes.
The last one on this list, also dead. Suzanne Summers.
Oh,
Yeah,
God bless us and save
she
us.
invented the open your thighs, close your thighs.
It's called The Thigh Master. Suzanne Summers passing away and dying.
That's sad.
Passed away and died.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, that defines like mortality, because if there was someone in my youth outside of like an outstanding athlete, like maybe a Pete Rose or a Mike Schmidt, like there was Suzanne Summers, who I thought, this person will never die.
Well, I would say the second one on that list is Farrah Fawcett. Also,
Yes.
she's that same type of person where you're like, wait, they died?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're not supposed to.
Yeah. Who's
Angela
your,
Lansbury, I get it.
your favorite Charlie's Angel?
My favorite Charlie's
Yeah.
Angel. Who was the one they brought on after she left?
I don't know that one. All right, how about you?
Oh, well, fucking Drew Barrymore.
Come on, dude.
You can't.
You
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 can't,
can't
pick
do
from the
that.
movies. You
Lucy
can't pick from the
Liu.
movies.
You could actually, if you want to say that, that's
No,
fine.
No,
I like Lucy Liu, actually.
no, not canon.
Jacqueline Smith. That's an easy one, dude. She's still looking very, very good. And
Jacqueline Smith collection available only at Kmart.
Jacqueline Smith is how old? 78. All right. When you want to talk about beautiful older women,
Yeah,
it's impossible not to bring my mom into the conversation.
sure.
And before this show, now my mom had been shying away from opportunities on the show. Unfortunately, she had a stroke a few years ago. So, she doesn't have the timber that she would want to have. You see her in person and she looks picture perfect. I mean, you can go on my social media, you see my mom, she looks like she's 55, 60. But so please take into account that her voice isn't up to full throttle, because as long as we preface her appearances by saying that, I think she might continue to at least take my phone calls when she knows I'm recording. We did it today. I told her, Mom, you're going to be on the show. She then said she was hanging up, but she seems like she allowed it. So I had a couple questions I wanted to ask her yesterday. When I was driving home, she gave me feedback on the show. So let's take a look at some of that feedback and take a look into the Philadelphia sports scene. Mike, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, good. No, we were talking yesterday a little bit about what did you think about how I conducted myself, like some of my language and stuff on the show? Huh?
You kept saying anyways instead of anyway.
Okay.
You need to watch your grammar.
All right. So
You're very good. You're normally very good. You really are. You're exceptionally good. And I hope nobody writes to you about that comment about Sirianni today.
Oh, my mom. But I mean, don't you think he's a joke? He's a clown.
I just think you should have compared him to.
No, it was from the movie Heat. Like the guy picks up a kid to shield himself from the villains. I mean, that's and look, Nick, that was a clown behavior he exhibited. Like, what if that was Michael and he was the coach?
I did watch it.
Hold on.
I did watch it. I did watch it. And 3 kids with him.
And what?
He had all 3 of his children with him.
Yeah, he did. That was. Do you think Dad would ever done that? Are you kidding me? He never took us anywhere.
And that's not true.
Mom,
That
you think
is not
what? This is a good question though. What would you think of Michael if he was the head coach of the Eagles, and then after the game, fans that had been talking to him negatively, he wandered over there and started to yell at him? You would tell him he was acting like an ass.
He was.
Thank you.
He was. I admit it. I admit that. At first, that's what I thought, what I just commented. And then I went to see the, excuse me, my voice is not great. He went to see, I went to see the clip, and then I changed my mind.
All right. Are we doing Borgata, October 25th?
Yes. And did you see what I sent you about siblings grief?
I'll check it out.
Uh-huh.
I will look at it. Yes.
It's excellent, and it says what you and Michael do.
All right.
You
I'll listen to
hit
that.
right for both of you.
We're trying to keep it happy right now. I'm recording this for our show today.
Oh, do you have me on? I'm hanging up. Goodbye.
Mom, don't hang up. Mom.
What?
So the Borgata on the 25th. I just got to wait to see if I get a football game, I won't be able to do it. But otherwise, Christy and I are going to go. And I told her we're going to go to Borgata.
Okay.
All right. I love you very much, Mom.
Do you have me on air?
Yeah, you sound great, by the way.
Goodbye.
Bye. She is a national treasure. She is Terry Sousa. Boy, I hope we can continue to get her back. I may get a cease and desist after that.
Your mom is fantastic.
Fantastic. And she's a compelling guest.
Yeah.
I remember years ago, I asked her, I said, Mom, what is the best part about getting older? And she said, you really stop giving a shit. And that makes for a great
Ain't
guest.
that the damn truth.
Mike, throw me that pumpkin
Yeah.
real quick. My mom used to do the best job of decorating. And I brought this pumpkin in here. Mike drew on it.
That was just a pin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a Thanksgiving style deal.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, Thanksgiving, sorry. Halloween.
Well, on one side it's Thanksgiving, on the other side it's Halloween.
Yeah.
There you
go. All right. So yesterday we're in the aftermath of, and I spoke about this for a little bit. This is something I really wanted to touch on, was the Jerry Jones situation with the Cowboys. Now, everyone in the aftermath of that situation, media pundits, most people, they all said to a man or woman that Jerry Jones was out of line by coming at those 2 radio hosts or 3 radio hosts, right? They felt like Jerry Jones basically was using his power to threaten their livelihood. And if you go back and you listen to the full conversation, I'm going to say it one more time, okay? If you listen to the total conversation and you take it into context, this is a radio show who already before had asked Jerry Jones, and I talked about this a little bit earlier with Cam, but I want to bring it up here. They had already asked Jerry Jones in the past about, hey, did you think about making more changes to the rosters during the offseason, right? This is a question that has been asked of him time and time again. We know the answer. He didn't make any moves, right? So what did he do? He's an 82-year-old man. He just turned 82. By the way, is he single? My mom's single. Is Jerry Jones single?
No,
No. Okay.
no, he's got that wife that loves art.
Okay. Yeah, he's the man. And we're happy he's married. I was just curious. So he obviously bit back, right? And another thing that we discussed when I was talking with Cam that I wanted to bring up was, those guys, they're radio hosts. They're in Dallas. They're on in the morning. They're obviously very successful and good at what they do. However, in that situation, regardless of who the subject is, when they start to threaten your job and threaten your livelihood, if you're on the air at that time and you're pitching a perfect game, right, career-wise in the moment during that show, and I'm not saying I would be able to do this because it's a jarring situation, but if you step up and you say, hey, Jerry, all due respect, your team has gotten outscored 75-0 in your last 4 home games in the first half. Like, it's time to really start addressing this stuff. The fans want to know. They didn't do that. They were sort of like, oh, hey, Jerry, we're just kind of asking. I think if you take a hard line there, and honestly, not calling Jerry Jones a bully, but we know what happens when you hit the bully in the mouth. I'm in the middle of a Vern Lundquist book, and he talks about when he was starting off in Austin, he ran a story about Texas Longhorn football players who were at a hotel, they were drinking, and they were running around, knocking on doors of the hotel. And one person opened a door, and the Texas football player punched him in the face. Now, this is like the late 60s. So just so you know, athletes have been running wild since the beginning of time, doing crazy bonehead stuff. But Vern was on the air in Austin. He was the lead sports guy at a station, I forget what, and he ran that story. So he leads the news or the sportscast with the story about these Texas football players who are acting like outlaws on this occasion. He runs their names and everything. Darrell K. Royal. So Vern Lundquist at the time, who was from Austin, he went to Texas Lutheran. Now he's back in town, living in Austin, living with his folks. It's like his first or second job out of college. And Darrell K. Royal calls his house, right? And Vern answers the phone, and there's a woman on the phone. And she's like, Vern Lundquist? And he's like, yeah. She's like, hang on one second. Like, Coach will be with you. And Vern's like, yo, what is the deal? And he said, Darrell K. Royal just went up one side of him and down the other, taking him to task, telling him why he shouldn't have run this story, why it wasn't news, why it was the wrong thing to do. And Vern says, may have accused him of being a communist, like it was the whole kitchen sink was thrown at him. And what Vern said was, I stood my ground. I told him I disagreed with him. I told him he was wrong. I told him it was newsworthy. These are figures who are public. These are public figures who are out there breaking the law. It is news, right? People know who these guys are. And, in the moment, Darrell Royal was extremely pissed. And, obviously he went back and forth with Vern, like the conversation started. But a few days later, maybe a week later, and after maybe it was a couple months later, the case gets resolved. There's a finality to it, whether the guys, I don't think they went to prison, but they certainly probably had to pay a fine and got in trouble. But they were found guilty of whatever they did. Coach Royal called Vern and he apologized. And he said, hey, in the moment, I was fired up. I got that wrong. And Vern says, from that point forward, I always had Coach Royal's respect. Like, I knew in my heart of hearts that what I did was the right thing. And, you get this monster of a figure calling you and maybe browbeating you a little bit. Staying your ground is the most important thing you can do in a situation like that. So you go back to yesterday when those guys from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas were in the line of fire with Jerry Jones. Again, we're going back. Hindsight is 20/20. But if you're pitching a perfect game at the time, you stand your ground. And you don't necessarily let them have it, but you draw a line in the sand. I remember, this is a great TV news story, and then we'll get to break. During COVID, I was gifted the opportunity. I interviewed the governor because Governor Abbott he understood that Texans needed to hear from him. So he was constantly making public appearances on local TV stations, talking to jamokes like me. And at the time, our noon anchor, Julie Hayes, was working from home. So Julie's working at home like a lot of people were doing during COVID, especially folks who are immunocompromised. So I anchored the morning show and the noon show, and it was awesome. I was loving it because there was so much going on. You really felt like you were purposeful. So I interviewed the governor the first couple times, and boy, I mean, he's a pro as far as, you know, the ability to filibuster or to not answer a question. So I came to my desk after one of the times where I had spoken with him and maybe sparred with him a little bit. And I asked our assistant news director, this guy by the name of Rick Bradfield. And Rick was a legend in the news industry, an absolute legend. And I said, Rick, I'm asking, he taught at Baylor. Did he teach you, Cam? No, he didn't. He taught at Baylor. That's why Cam ended up like this. Rick taught at Baylor. He was the news director at KWTX when everything went down with David Koresh. And he just did an amazing job with that. He actually was from Denver, and the guy could have lived wherever he wanted, but he fell in love here, and his wife passed away from cancer, but then he fell in love with Cassie, who still teaches at Baylor, and she's a total legend there. But I said, Rick, what the hell do I do when this guy starts to filibuster and he doesn't want to answer a question? You know, when he does a political game, he said, you jump right in there. And Rick was not a man of many words. You say, Governor, I appreciate it, but for the sake of time, I have to ask you this one more time. It seems like you're putting a loophole in there for folks where they'll be able to celebrate Easter Mass when you're also saying that everyone should be indoors and social distancing. And it worked. And I got an answer. And, you know, like, it was that type of integrity, you know, that I would take from a guy like Rick and kind of let him speak through me in big moments like that I think really, I mean, it's unbelievable. I got to interview the governor on several occasions, and I felt like, you know, he had a healthy respect for me, which was pretty cool. And, you know, it was from a guy like Rick kind of showing me what to do. So a little bit of journalism 101. I'm always the one on the learning end, but yeah, a little experience too. We'll come back with Cameron Stewart here on the Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Back here in the Alico building, the home of the Rogue Media Network. Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network. We'd like to thank the folks at Socorro Family Ford. Yeah, Cam, you look pretty good.
I look kind of fat.
I like how
No, you don't.
Cam's like, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there.
You've got a hooded sweatshirt. You got a hooded sweatshirt on, dude.
Yes.
You look like you're
The 1954 Indiana State champs, Milan Indians, baby.
Indiana State, like Terre Haute.
No, like high school basketball state champions.
Oh, is that from Hoosiers?
That's the team Hoosiers is based on. Yeah. I ordered this from the gift shop of their museum in Milan, Indiana.
Cam, what's the key to ordering good sports memorabilia?
I guess I need to tell you, man.
Because let's say
You overpaid for that Howie Long jersey too.
You know, first of all, it was forget what Cam said. I ordered this online. A Richmond alum, right?
Oh,
guy who
man.
went there to play football. I figured, hey, let me get a nice Richmond shirt. This is like purple, dude. I ordered it.
It's just like complete garbage.
How about the brand? ProSphere.
Dude.
I just threw it.
Well, if you're gonna do, all
Mike,
right.
do you want that? It's an extra large.
Yeah, I love it.
Dude, look at the look on Mike's face. He's
Great,
just
I'll take it. Yeah,
messing with me right now.
my dogs need something to lay on.
All right, Mike.
I mean, if you're gonna do something for a small college like that, go straight to the bookstore website. because
Mike
they'll
just
have-
threw it away.
They'll have like some Nike stuff or Under Armour stuff or something.
Yeah, but what? Okay, and you're right. 100%. You should be intentional, right? Go right to it. But sometimes you'll just like search it, or something will pop up, and like
Like,
I'm just,
that looks good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was complete horseshit what they gave me.
Yeah, that's and you didn't even mention it's just like the most run of the mill block letters, white screen print, Richmond. Rich what? Yeah.
So who do you know anything about that? Like who makes those shirts? Like what's going on with that?
Kids
like
in Tibet, China.
but really like
I mean,
there's a whole marketplace for people that are feasting on idiots like me.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is super late, but
thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
You know where I see a
Norris.
lot of that is Facebook. People in like Baylor Facebook groups will be like, look at this shirt I designed, and it's clearly a scam. And there'll be like 10 comments from people 60 years old and be like, this is great. Like Pete falls right into that.
I told you about the Halloween mug I bought for Christy's daughter. It was all the scary movies, like VHS.
You did not tell me about this, but this sounds cool.
So it was all the scary movies, right? And they were like put here, like the VHS, like Halloween, Friday the 13th. That would look like you were looking at a bookshelf with the VHSs.
She into horror movies?
She loves them.
Awesome.
And so do
Cool
I.
stuff.
So it's like something we share. So I sent it to her and she didn't complain, but somehow the person who made these whack mugs sent an email to all 300 people, all of us who had ordered these, apologized in advance for how the print was small, which set off this whole people are replying to,
Oh no.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a nightmare.
yeah. And then,
That's such a nightmare. like 80 responses to it, probably.
oh my God. And
Like,
then somebody was like, you get guys, I went and like deep dove on these emails. Like some guys are like CEOs of companies are like, like, can we stop with the reply all? And then they would be like, well, Mr. Stewart, like you just broke rule number fucking one.
oh my God.
And it was back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. But there are so many of those people out there that are,
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
peddling this stuff.
Yeah. Some on purpose, some not. You got to do your due diligence, Pete. I don't take any shame in this. When I see something like that, I'm not afraid to go to the Google and say whatever.com reviews.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And you'll light 'em
Because
up?
you know what will come up even for those small ones, which I'm sure was kind of a small independent thing that you got the
Yeah.
mug from. There will be a Reddit page if someone is scamming. There will be a post on Reddit. And
Yeah.
there's some things where it's just if it's too good to be true, it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Do those Reddit movements, are they enough to get these things shut down or just
Not
get 'em out of
always,
business?
no.
Okay.
No, but at least it's a warning.
What's the biggest ripoff you ever bought online where you were like, wow, I learned my lesson?
Ooh, that's a good one. I've been ripped off a few times, Pete. I've been ripped off a few times. One of them when I was still way into my collecting soccer jerseys phase, there was this website that had all these Liverpool retro shirts that like weren't sold in other places, like reprints, but not sold in other places. And they had, here's a big thing for jerseys and such. They had real pictures. It was not like just whatever you'd see on like the Fanatics website.
Yeah.
It was a picture like you would have taken on your phone of the jersey. And I was like, hell yes. So I ordered 3 of them. It came out to like $130 or something. And they just never showed up. Just never.
That happened to me with the
Never. And I got the money back, thankfully, but it just never came. And I was really bummed because I was like, I can't find these anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that, that's stuff like that. I mean, sometimes I take calculated risks. I bought a Wayne Gretzky Kings jersey about a month or 2 ago off eBay. I love eBay. I
Yeah.
do love eBay. I'm old school like that. And it was a size small, which is usually what I wear for a hockey jersey, but I know retro ones are a little bit different. And it came and it was like wearing a cheerleader's outfit or something. It was
So do
far
you send
too
it back?
small. No, because these sales, most of these are final.
So you just eat it.
I sold on. I sold it last week for the same price. On eBay.
Nice.
Yeah. So sometimes, you just take a risk.
That happened to me.
I do that with hats all the time because I'm very anal about hats.
You order hats off?
Yeah.
Online?
Yeah.
Really?
Actually, this one is a great success story.
But how do you know that they're going to fit you well? Don't you have to try them on or no?
Well, usually adjustables, but
I like fitted.
I know you do. But sometimes, like, I just don't like how the brim, curves or it's just not comfortable on my head. So that's the risk I take. It's a risk I take.
You're not a flat brim guy, are you?
No.
Come
Okay.
on.
All right.
Pete's a lot closer to that than I am.
I'm not.
Pete, you
In
do
fact,
flat
you know what
brim?
I do?
No.
In
Like
fact-
golf hats? You know what I'm saying? The difference between a golf hat and like a trucker hat?
No, I mean I would wear a golf hat. That's not like something, but
you know
I'm
what I'm talking about, right?
Maybe.
Like
I don't.
golf, like
I don't think
what's-
either one of them's
like a
flat brim.
visor.
Well, no, I'm talking about like with the adjustable fabric in the back.
In
you know,
like
the
a
little
like a
clip.
dry fit hat,
Uh,
almost like an Under Armour Nike type
Like
of
a
hat.
Velcro.
Well, no, well, it could be Velcro,
Jesus
but
Christ,
usually
it's like $25,000 pyramid.
Just adjustable? Is that what you're talking about?
no adjustable, like snapback. That would be more like in that trucker
Okay.
area, right?
Okay.
A Caddyshack hat, like you've got on, is more like a golf hat, right? It's got the strap of adjustable fabric in the back.
Okay.
You can't
Sure.
talk about this with me in the room and not expect me.
It's
to
plastic.
Well,
make
well,
some-
no,
it's plastic.
the flat brim. If you're if you're my age and you're flat brimming it, you'd better be a celebrity. That's all I'm gonna say.
Your
Like,
Phillies
seriously.
hat was not that far off.
But
It's noticeable, but it's not that far off.
I have a little. My brims have a little integrity.
Pete,
right?
Pete's just waiting to be a little more famous so we can flatten that
I would
shit
never
out.
flatten it out.
that
I-
curve, as they've said
I
the last
can't
4
flatten it
years.
out. You better be famous or live on the beach.
You know what I
maybe.
do with my fitteds? And
What?
Grace thinks it's the stupidest thing ever. I did it this weekend with a Red Sox hat. I wear them in the shower. That way it
Oh,
fits to your
no.
head better. And it's for like those new era fitted hats, it gives you a way to curve the bill to your liking. So what you do is you wear it in the
You
shower,
get it all wet.
and then and
I'm
then you
gonna-
come out
I'm
with
gonna
it,
ask
and
my
then
Cardboard
brain
in
to
there.
now
and then you
picture with
put a
clothes on wearing the hat.
ponytail holder or a rubber band to make it go like that, and you wear it for like 2 hours, and it's there for life. It's awesome.
Do you have to keep your clothes off when you wear it, or can you put your
You
clothes
can
on?
put your
when
clothes
you're
on.
in
What
the
the
shower?
fuck? Yeah,
Well, you're
you
wearing
put
it in
your
the
clothes on.
shower.
Yeah, I'm not wearing clothes in the shower. Obviously, that
It
would be
saves time.
that would be
It
ridiculous.
saves time washing your wardrobe too, Pete. You just keep
Yeah.
your clothes on, wash them right there.
But I've
wear
got
'em
a
out.
big head, and it's kind of in between sizes, so it's perfect for me to do that with fitted hats.
The last time I
Although
got
I
into
kinda
the
overdid it with
shower
this Red
with
Sox
the
hat.
hat on, I had taken the marijuana cigarette
I was
somebody
gonna
had
say,
given me
Pete's gonna be like
and
rehab
dipped
or
it in the water and then went back. You're in big trouble after that. Many moons ago.
I love hats, man.
No, I love hats as well. Do you guys ever? Have you ever?
love hats.
I also
That's-
love
There's your clip
hats.
for today, Pete. I love hats.
I love hats as well. So what about?
That's like such a talk show host cop out segue. Like, I do too. Now,
Dude.
Jenna, you said your mom is a what now? Like, this is back to Dr. Phil KFC.
Yo, you know what's funny? You can listen to the best broadcasters of all time, and they still are making bullshit segues. Like,
Yeah, dude.
it's-
I do it, man. I
it's-
do it, and
it's
I hate it.
inescapable.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like you can watch, like, because sometimes I've been like, because you do need to. Any really good play-by-play guy, like even if you say knifing, I used to love this because Musburger said it once, like a hot knife through butter,
Yeah.
right? Like a guy goes through the lane, and my man Matt Devlin was like, stop using cliches like that. Like it's no bueno. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. And he's like, and he gave me a code because he watched the game that I was doing, an Iowa game this past year. And he kind of just let me, no cliches. Cliches are out. Do you use cliches when you're calling games?
I try not to, but
Yeah.
I have gotten that advice because you think about it, like really, I know you used a Musburger example there, but the best of the best really don't use them at all.
Yeah.
And if they do, it's usually something they've come up with, which is a different can of worms.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah,
what I was going to say is Bill Land just retired from the Spurs.
Yeah.
And big Spurs fan, but he would have all these custom things that he came up with, and he would use those over and over, especially like a name for a player or something.
Well, yeah, that's
where you
not
come up with that kind of thing. But he would use those, and it's almost like comforting as a fan because you get to hear that thing over and over, and you feel like you're part of it.
Yeah,
like the Penguins guy. Hey, he shoots, he scores, he beat him like a rented mule.
Who is your
It's a good
favorite
one.
play-by-play guy of all time? Local. So of all your local people.
Oh, shit, that's not easy,
Yeah,
Pete.
because these guys in Boston, they're so provincial.
I really like Gorman, as you know. I'm trying to get Mike Gorman on the show. He just retired as the Celtics guy. I think he handled it perfectly. But honestly, like looking back as a kid, it's probably Gil Santos who did the Patriots on the radio.
Wow.
And which is hilarious in a way. I know, really funny, guys. Because I never listened to the Patriots on the radio, really. I mean, we might be going someplace and the game was already in hand or something, or the game had just started coming back from church, which doesn't happen. But on the Patriots like Super Bowl DVDs, all Gil Santos. And so I used to quote him all the time. I can't really do a good impression, but I used to do it all the time. He had a great deep baritone voice.
Is Zolak still
Despite the
analyst?
prognostications of doom, the Patriots have reported to Pittsburgh and will take the field
Gil
against the Steelers.
Santos. By the way, he must be a Portuguese guy.
Yes, he is. Yep.
Holla.
Yep. Ton of Portuguese in the part of Massachusetts where he's from, South Coast, Massachusetts.
All right. So Zolak, is he still the color analyst?
Yep.
How has he kept that job?
They love him. I love him.
But
Well,
he seems like
you are.
somebody. He seems like kind of a loose cannon. Like
He is a bit.
Like he's a little unhinged,
Uh,
right?
yeah. I mean, he's done it for 12 years now, probably taking over for Gino.
Yeah, he's done a good job, but he's a little bit of a loose cannon. I will listen to, and this is a shameless plug for Sirius. With the Sirius app, right? I will listen to. I used to listen to Vin Scully when he was doing, because you can do any game anytime that they're on, right? I would listen to Vin Scully. I still will listen to Charlie Steiner call Dodgers games.
He's still doing it.
Yeah,
him,
I'll
man.
listen to Brad Sham. I'll listen to Merrill
You
Reese.
listen to Kyle Yeomans.
My guy in Kyle Yeomans. That was an unexpected Kyle Yeomans. That might give the 2 minute sign. Look,
2
out,
minutes.
dude.
2 minutes.
We
Okay,
have reached
so-
the 2-minute warning.
Locked on Baylor today.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What do you have coming up? I was listening to. I boned to pick with Locked on Baylor.
Oh,
I was
God,
getting ready
yeah.
for this Inside the 12 show today, and I'd love to listen to either you when I have a Baylor game. I'll listen to you, but with the overall broad perspective, I'll listen to Toll.
Draco.
Yeah, Drake does a great job. Not Drake May, Drake Toll. And but he had a guy on from Utah today, and he was a little shock jockey. Do you
Worcester
know-
still?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He said some stuff I really disagreed with.
Like what?
I'm trying to think.
This is the bone you have to pick with Locked On Bay, or is it someone from Locked On Big 12 stinks?
Here's what it is.
I like JT.
Here's what it was. So we have this whole. It was around the Cam Rising thing. So when Cam Rising's hurt, there's all these people like, oh, like he's holding himself out, or what's going on. There was kind of like a lot of smoke, right? Then he plays. He
Stinks.
gets hurt, but he gets injured.
Yep.
He stays in the game, and now Utah sucks for leaving him out there, and he sucks for wanting to stay in. It's like you can't have it both ways, dude. And your boy Worcestershire sauce was all over it.
Was all over being on both ways or doing what you did there?
I don't know. You know what? I would be.
He's a Charlotte guy, by the way. He lives in
He is?
Charlotte. Yeah. He's
I-
originally from Utah.
He's very good. Like
Well,
at his
he
job.
went to Utah, but
But I feel sometimes like we go back and forth, right? Like, what's the take for today? You know, like I thought that was complete BS when people were saying that Cam Rising wasn't playing because he was holding himself out. You know,
yeah, I doubt it. I mean, this is a guy who's in year 7 and he doesn't really have NFL prospects. So why would he hold himself out?
would you
You know what I mean?
want Cam Rising to quarterback your college football team next year?
No.
Like if he was available to come to Baylor.
No.
Okay.
Best ability is availability. The guy doesn't have it.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily his fault, but you're not, especially in a transfer situation, man, you can't put your eggs in that basket. That basket's got a ton of holes in it. He's good when he plays. I think the mystique of him not playing a lot, it adds to the mystique, I should say. Like, he's now a way better player than I think he actually ever was. He's a good quarterback. He's never available. And you just, no.
Charlie Brewer or Cam Rising? You got to pick one.
From their prime.
For game day tomorrow. Yeah.
Shit, that's tough. Because rising at his peak is a little bit better than Charlie. But
Charlie was, let me tell you.
Charlie
Brewer found a way, dude.
I have somehow become like the Charlie Brewer defender of Baylor. Like, I didn't think that was going to be my job, but I end up doing that at every turn now because Baylor fans only seem to remember 2020 with that Larry Fedora offense. He had taken a couple of hits in the head by then. It was not a good offense at all. But I will ride with Charlie Brewer.
He was awesome in 2019.
He won games for them.
Yeah.
And I think his last crowning moment was in 2020. I think it was the penultimate game of the season. It was they were out of it. They were whatever, 1-6 or something. They were playing Kansas State. It was raining. It was COVID. There was almost nobody there. And it was pouring the whole game. And Charlie Brewer, second half, it was classic, man. High percentage throws, getting out of the pocket, scrambling, extra yardage, and he led them to a win. They kicked a game-winning field goal. He led the drive. I was like, that's my Charlie Brewer, dude. So I ride with Charlie. I'll pick Charlie.
How many?
Charlie Money, man. He was good in money time.
In 2019, he started just about every game, right? He did.
Yes, he started every game.
I mean, they went to the Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
That he was, amazing that year.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a sad end. He got hurt in the Big 12 championship game and the Sugar Bowl. He got hurt in both.
Jacob Zeno came in the Big 12 championship game.
They had Gary in for a while. Gary threw a touchdown pass, and then Zeno came in. I was at that game. It was one of the most incredible things I'd ever seen live. That first touchdown he threw, it was like, holy shit. Third string quarterback. We're in this thing. We could be
Oklahoma.
Like
a 60-yard or 70-yard touchdown?
Yeah, so he comes in. They're down 10.
Yeah.
He throws a 75-yard touchdown pass. Yep, to Treston Ebner, the running back. Yes. And it was just like a shallow cross that Ebner takes all the way. Next drive, it's 20-17. He does the same thing to the other side, Chris Platt, and he is taken down shoestring tackle at like the 4-yard line. It would have been another 80-yard touchdown pass. And that moment I still think about because if he does not get tackled, Baylor wins that game and goes to the playoff.
Oh,
they get their ass kicked by Joe Burrow,
doesn't matter.
But they go to the playoff. And instead, he gets tackled from behind. They don't score a touchdown. They kick a field goal, go to overtime, and lose in overtime.
Gosh, that's right.
Yeah.
You know, I absolutely hate to be the voice of reason here, but we're well past 2 o'clock.
All right, that's it. We got to wrap it
with
up.
Charlie Money.
Thank you very much, Cam, for your appearance. Mike, thank you for your time. Really great job. If you don't want to know what Mike looks like, just Google Wolfman Jack. We'll be back tomorrow. The Pete Sousa Show.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
We are Rogue Media Sports.